So thank you, Eliza.
I used to spend money on whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, wherever I wanted, as long as I had it, of course. And it also helped that I was living with my parents at the time of this mentality. But then I met my future spouse, whose entire day could be ruined by a single missed 25-cent coupon. We laugh about it now, but at the time our different finance perspectives were difficult for us to navigate. Together we grew toward one another and forged a plan forward that included many compromises and established a spreadsheet to track every penny spent. If you were to look at the spreadsheet from our early relationship years, you would see some donations. Philanthropy, even with our limited resources, was always a part of our spending, but you wouldn't find any faith organizations on our list from then. I didn't grow up experiencing church. My mom wanted us to be old enough to choose our faith, so she didn't introduce religion to me or my only sister when we were young. God works in mysterious ways, though, and I'm sure I gave her one of the biggest shocks of her life when at about 10 years old, I ran to her visibly upset because all my friends went to church. They all went to youth group, and all of them knew who this, and I quote, God thing is. My mom had grown up Roman Catholic, so she sought out the only church faith that she knew, and my sister and I were baptized and confirmed in our early teen years. I never fostered my faith, though, and it didn't become a significant part of my life. Fast forward many years through a few failed romantic relationships and heartbreaks, a few trials of growing in faith, some struggles with my identity, and an attempt to reconcile Jesus' teachings and what I felt called to do and be by God versus what the church was telling me God supposedly wanted from me. Fast forward specifically to October 2020. I'd been married to my wife, Regina, for a little over 5 years, and at the time we both sort of tangentially considered ourselves Roman Catholic, or maybe what some would call seasonal Catholics. One of her best friends was married that October, and the priest pulled Regina aside after the rehearsal and informed her he wouldn't be giving her communion at the wedding because she was married to me and living in sin. While that was disappointing, I do believe it was another moment of God working in mysterious ways in my life. Because I told this story to friends of ours, and it was this story that had them recommend St. Paul's to us. Cautious, my wife and I tried to move slowly with testing out the various services without making too much eye contact. Learning about the beliefs and faith community, still trying to not fully engage, and attending events that piqued our interest. This desire to seek, though, meant it wasn't long before we were singing every week, attending as many fellowship and interfaith events as we could find, contributing to potlucks, and learning more about Scripture than we had ever desired to before. So as strange as it sounds, I am grateful for this communion denial experience because if we had never been pushed away, we would have probably always been in a place of little faith instead of welcomed in a space that allows us to fully embrace it. If we hadn't been pushed away, we wouldn't have sought out anything more. As you may have guessed, on our spending spreadsheet, you will now find a faith organization, St. Paul's Episcopal Church in Mount Lebanon. Looking at where you spend your money is a clue to what you value. If you were to track and analyze your spending like my wife and I do, would you find you are contributing your time, talent, and finances to those things in your life that matter to you? We value St. Paul's, and we recognize that helping financially with the operating expenses, while it may not sound glamorous, is really actually paying for the glue of the organization that allows all of us to have a loving support network, another physical and emotional space in our lives that feels like coming home, a way to grow in service and come together to enhance the lives of community members that surround us, the opportunity to learn, deepen our faith, and more easily hear and heed God's call. All of these things we value can ripple outward limitlessly. One drop, limitless ripples. You are invited to make a pledge or recurring gift while reflecting on the following questions. What do you wish to see spread outwards? What do you value? Thank you.